The following video contains spoilers for Ordeal Call 2, so spoiler discretion is advised. Our story begins with a lone sailor from Marseille, one who was falsely imprisoned and his entire life stolen away from him by a conspiracy. Sent to rot in the hellish prison named the Chateau d'If. After enduring years of torment, he was saved by a guiding hand, a kindly old priest who stoked within him the fires of revenge, and entrusted him with his hopes and secrets. And so a tale was woven, as the sailor, once known as Edmond Dantes, inherited the treasures of Abbe Faria, knowledge, wealth, and a holy relic giving him newfound power. Edmond Dantes had been scorched away by flame, and from his ashes arose the Count of Monte Cristo, one who would deliver retribution on those who had wronged him. The original Avenger. The Count set off on his journey to bring reckoning to those who wronged him. Along the way, battling the Serpent of Acacia, the embodiment of the Wild Hunt, and the magnificent fraudster. At the end of his tiresome quest, he was given restoration by the love of a foreign princess. However, his black flames persist even after death, and proceed to burn bright during the incineration of humanity. Tasked by the King of Mages to create a singularity, the Count brings the Master of Chaldea into a nightmare, the very same one he suffered long ago. They enter the prison tower, Chateau d'If. With their soul imprisoned, the Master must conquer the 7 halls of judgment in order to attain their freedom. Each one of these halls contains a lord representing a cardinal sin. On the journey through purgatory, the Count's nature begins to unravel through the presence of the woman he names Mercedes and the arrival of the saints, pious souls who seek to bring him back from the point beyond love and hatred and grant him salvation. Jeanne d'Arc, the holy woman betrayed and burned at the stake, and Amakusa Shiro, a man who lost everything yet chose to save the world. They are defeated, but their hopes and prayers remain with him. As the Master arrives at their final trial, 2 people left in the Chateau d'If, with only one being able to leave. The one who remains shall become the new Abbe Faria, a light of hope for the other. They battle, and at the end the Master is victorious. The Avenger will stay in the Chateau d'If as a guardian to protect the soul of the Master and let it be free, leaving the Master with words he heard long ago: attendre, espérer, wait and hope. And so the Count lies dormant within the soul of the Master. While the Master fights on the front lines, Dantes battles the curses that slip through into their psyche. The accumulation of darkness that piles up into a trash heap. In the depths of the waste hole, the Count fights off the vestiges of despair, with the occasional aid from his Master, lighting his cigar in the abyss. His accomplice stands by his side. The Master overcomes several hardships in their journey to see tomorrow. whether it be venturing through parallel worlds, bargaining with a homunculus turned divinity, or undergoing psychological torture at the hands of the goddess of love. The Count is always there to battle the demons. However, every journey must reach its destination, and Dantes must come to the end of his canto. The life of a servant was but a temporary one, after all, and he would give the master a lesson before the parting of ways. His stage was set during the ordeal call, trials set by the human order to understand the purpose of the extra classes, and who better to undertake the ordeal of Avenger but the Count of Monte Cristo himself. A familiar homeland nestled in the memories of the master, spiraling towards its end with each blowing of the trumpet, surrounded by family and friends in an environment reminiscent of modern-day Tokyo. The master would face 7 trials, truly a cyclical narrative. Bearing the right to hold the flame of vengeance, the master embarks on their quest to restore the planet, whilst they are watched by 2 observers from afar, the flickering shadow championing the master, whilst the man covered in cracks brings forth anguish. With the help of the flickering shadow and the Avengers from Chaldea, the master battles the Fortress of Lamentation, one who lost all on the shores of Britain, and the Queen of Victory, trampled on by Rome, and handles them with relative ease. The flickering shadow taunting the ruptured man. However, what unfolds next proves hard to endure. After a battle hard fought, the master returns home. Their keys jingle. They unlock their door. Wandering into eerie silence, they step foot in their home. Their breath stops as they are greeted with a visage of misery. Lying still on the floor, blood decorating the walls, lies their mother's carcass, unbreathing. They must call for an ambulance. This is an emergency, and so they rush for the phone only to see another body adorning the floor. Their little sister, her tiny frame so motionless. Tears flood their eyes, but they must press on forward. They have to get to the phone. They have to call the ambulance. They have to fix this. Finally, they reach the phone and a final cadaver lies beside it. Hair once bright pink, now stained with drops of dark crimson. A familiar Kohai, propped up beside the phone. Her body, now limp and cold. I must scream. Why? Why? Why did this happen? Why? Who did this? It was the enemy. I must kill them. I must crush them. I must hold this flame in my hands till I am burned to cinders, or till my enemy is nothing but ash beneath my foot. The announcement of the second trial. The master battled the scales of perdition with a newfound flame in their heart, relentlessly charging their enemy until the battle is won. And as she dissipates into the ether, the master feels the lingering taste of fresh blood on their lips. Oh, how sweet it is. The path of vengeance feels glorious, a temptation to easily let yourself be seduced by and slip into. So much so that the idea of taking back humanity is a simple afterthought. This must be how the Count felt so long ago on his rightful crusade to avenge the life stolen from him. The Master continues down the path of Inferno, being goaded by the corrupted Queen of Lilies and having an ally engulfed by flame. All minor footnotes to be trampled on in their quest for revenge. Their souls serve to kindle the eternal flame. But was this the intended path all along? Did they need to raze everything to the ground? No, because far away on a snowy mountaintop in the Antarctic, there is someone waiting for you. A girl looking out towards the blue sky. Words spoken by a familiar musician shine through the Master like a ray of light on a stormy day, holding that vista tight in their heart, douses the ever-burning flame. Your journey was never to kill, it was simply to see tomorrow. And with the conquering of the third and fourth trial, it is time for the Mastermind to take center stage. Appearing with a new guise, he bolsters the Master forward with iron barbs, declaring that his trial lies ahead, and with a cryptic warning, he dissipates. The Master conquers the fifth and sixth trials, the king of the wild hunt and his beast, with the might of Chaldea's Avengers and the shining assassin. Only one trial remains. However, there is one more blow the Master must receive. Their allies through this entire ordeal, the Avenger class, one by one they must leave. Their reasons unknown to the Master. Only the Dragon Witch having the strength to face the Master and deliver her farewell. And then the final trumpet sounds. There is nobody left in this Tokyo but the Master, the shining assassin, and the fraudster. Returning to the home, the Master enters their father's study, a room that went unnoticed by everyone until now. In actuality, serving as the Count's base of operations, leading into a spiraled staircase of darkness, approaching the final stages of the journey, but not without one last twist. The fraudster, Count Cagliostro, turns his blade on the Master, for he had been lying all along. However, his efforts are in vain, thanks to a countermeasure by Monte Cristo, and he is dealt with by Hassan of the Bright Star and the brief return of the Queen of Lilies, back once more to seek revenge for the Count's betrayal. The shining assassin puts his entire being into the battle and pays the price as he dissipates and gives his farewell to the Master. Now truly alone in this Tokyo, they must finally confront the Count of Monte Cristo. They face the seventh trial, and after they clash, he unmasks himself, his face falling apart, and reveals himself to his Master, laying himself bare and confessing his sins. The loving mother, the cheeky little sister, and the doting Kohai, they were all slain by his hands. And it was all done in the name of revenge, to ignite the flame of the soul, and to teach the master how it felt to wield vengeance as a blade, like he once did. For the soul of the master could make the greatest avenger of all. The multitude of loss they carry with them, the massacres committed by the bleaching of humanity, they could ascend to godhood with nobody being able to question their wrath. But the master has already been absolved of their flame, and they continue to reach for the blue sky. And with their flame extinguished, the master is sent back to Chaldea. But this cannot be the end, and with the aid of the foreign princess, one who granted the Count salvation so long ago, by showing him the value of the love he cast aside, the master is granted another chance. In the spiraling depths of the waste hole, the Count of Monte Cristo pushes onward, battling against the lingering vestiges as he heads towards his true goal. Bolstered by the Avengers of Chaldea who join him in his plight, it is then they approach the true reason behind this pseudo-Tokyo. Not only a stage for the trials, but rather it served to eliminate the malignant information, Cagliostro, a festering curse that had been dormant since the Heian era, thanks to the work of a terrible onmyoji. Yet, this microcosm served as a hunting ground for the loathsome ridiculer, and they exhaust themselves to their spirit cause in the crusade against the Count of Despair. Their breaths are few, their movements sluggish, their vision darkening. The Count is lacking. He needs a light. In the Count's moment of need, his accomplice will always be there by his side, ready to provide him his light. And now, with the master at their side, it is time for the Avengers to assemble. The Wolf King, the Serpent Goddess, the Avatar of Anubis, the Man in Grey, the Dragon Witch, and finally the Count of Monte Cristo, Edmond Dantes. All of their souls coalesce to incinerate Cagliostro, flames of purification that conflagrate the soul. And with a blazing finish, the battle is won. But what did it mean to be an Avenger? Avengers are the souls of those who burn bright, spirits who are wronged by the past and cannot move on. But this cannot be the way forward. The Master does not push on in the name of vengeance. They do it to live in the present and take back their world. There is no place for an Avenger to exist by their side, and so they must move beyond vengeance. This flame must die with them. The Master receives words from their Abbe Faria, Edmond Dantes, the sailor from Marseille, turned god of retribution so very long ago. Wait and hope. All the stars in heaven are watching. Never forget that your journey is towards the light. We've had a long journey together, my accomplice. And with that, the ordeal has been overcome. The Avengers all fade away. In the battle for hope, they are needed no longer, but the memories of them will always remain. The lives they had impacted, the servants residing in Chaldea, and most of all, the Master. It turns out vengeance became its own beacon of hope in the end. Thank you very much for watching this video on Edmond Dantes. I suppose this is the first video I'm making after reaching 1000 subscribers, so I'm very thankful to everyone who stuck around, and until next time, where hope and despair gather once more.